both at the entry and at the exit. For the past few days, we've witnessed a number of cases coming from different sources, that is from the airports and also from the northeastern part of the country. And tonight we discuss some of the loopholes that are facing this country when it comes to the safety of the borders. We are privileged to have Mr. Peter Kariuki, who is a security and a policy analyst. Join us on Power Brief tonight as we look into these matters and find way forward on how these matters can be handled. Mr. Peter Kariuki, welcome to Power Brief.
Thank you.
How is everything outside there?
Not bad.
Yes.
Everything is good apart from the coronavirus that we as Kenyans are trying to shy away from it.
Is it around, or people feel it is around?
People are trying to run away from the fact that Chinese are coming, so many Chinese are coming to our country without even the knowledge of the government.
We'll see what comes out of it. So we are looking at this matter of the borders. Every home has a fence, every village has a boundary with another village and what have you. So we are looking at the borders, the states of Kenya's borders. And sometimes these puzzles, many people, they really do not what is a border? What is a country's border?
A border is something that link two lands. Let's say our border of Uganda and Kenya and Uganda is a line that bring a partition between two countries, and something that is linking two things. Yeah,
that is it. United States of America last week gave a warning, a terror alert, that the Al-Shabaab are planning to have some sort of an attack to a prominent hotel in Nairobi City. This has not been the first instance because it's been happening before. As a security analyst, why is it that we've been having this thing happening, Americans giving us warning before even our intelligence systems does so?
You know, the main issue with our country, Kenya, is corruption. You know, even the security threat that we are getting these countries just because of corruption and lack of more resources in security sectors. Because the other time, there was also an intelligence report from the American embassy about the Dusit Hotel attack. But due to ignorance from our security personnel, we were caught up in that mess with the Al-Shabaab.
So the entire matter concentrates on the inability to take action, or less resources, or ignorance?
For me, I can say it's ignorance, because when there is a warning, we must take an action immediately, instead of wasting time and saying that we'll do our investigation. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, as a security and a policy analyst, what are some of these checks that one has to undergo before leaving and entering a particular country? Because you've been seeing some instances, sometimes some prominent people, when they're about to be checked, they even refuse. You remember some time back, the former DCJ found herself into some controversy. So what are some of these checks? Because sometimes when someone is about to be checked, it brings problems.
It depends with the locality, because in the airport, there is a VIP places where those big people in the government, they are being checked. And there is this where normal people goes where there is a checkup. So it depends. Again, it depends with the border. You know, the checkup in the airport is different from the checkup in the border. For example, in Busia, you cannot tell me the checkup in Busia border and airport is the same. So it depends. Yeah.
Now, what brings in the difference between the VIPs having their own entry place and normal citizens having their own? What comes in here to bring that difference?
You know, with our country, Kenya, it depends with the status of a person, because you cannot tell me the entrance of the, let's say, the cabinet secretary and that of a normal person is the same, because the checkup of the cabinet secretary, they are not being checked thoroughly compared to those people who are, compared to normal people. For example, they have VIP pleasure, they are being favored. So for them, I think what normally goes on for them is just a matter of just going, screening, and they just go. Because for those normal people, I think in the airport, they will see their bag being checked all over their bodies. But you cannot check for a CS, you tell him to just stand there. Because we have seen instances whereby, for example, we have a security guard who was just chased away from her job because of that collusion with the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, Mr. Dr. Matiang'i. Yeah.
This takes us now back to our previous questions on matters regarding the border. When you go to Malaba, the entry point where those trucks and citizens coming from Uganda, DRC, and some coming all the way from Kenya headed towards those sides. So there are those checks that takes place there. Which country are you coming from? Which country are you going to? Now, beyond the border, for instance, if you are not entering through the main entrance, are these other places manned?
No, they're not manned because we have so many loopholes in our borders. Because, for example, when you talk about the Busia border, the other time there are some shortcuts there where you can just go to Uganda and even come back without the knowledge even of the government. Mm-hmm. But in conjunction with what we are talking about, even in Busia border, for example, Malaba border, mm-hmm. you can just go there and pay 1,000 bob without having the yellow fever card, and you'll be allowed to go to Uganda and come back. Therefore, the main source of insecurity, for example, in our country, or this problem of security, of safety in our country, is just because of corruption. Because those people from immigration, they will just take money from you, or they will just send you to go to a hospital there. They say that you must pay 2,500 for you to be injected that yellow fever injection. So I think for me the main problem is corruption. That's why we are facing all this problem in our country.
So this brings out the justification that the checkups, these checks and what have you, the scrutiny is only serious on airports.
No, I'm not saying it's serious on airport. In Kenya, we know this, in Kenya, it depends. Because even in airport, we have seen so many instances in airport, drugs being passed in the airport without checkup. We normally assume that checkup is very good in the airport. But why this is a drug, they always pass there? You know, so therefore we cannot say that in airport safer than even our borders. No. The main problem that I'm trying to say is corruption, even in airport. Because when you are a VIP in Kenya, I don't think that your bags will just be checked thoroughly like that of a normal person. So for example, if I'm a VIP, I even leave alone being a VIP. We have those people who have connection with the government. For example, the instance of that lady who was killed in Kilimani the other time, with the instance of Joey and Jackie Maribe. That lady came back with a lot of cash from Southern Sudan, just because she was held up in the airport. But there was a call from somebody in higher rank from the government, and she was allowed to get out the money. So for me, I think no place is safer, no place is good. All of them, they are equal.
It takes us to this scenario, what happened at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, where a whistle was blown concerning that plane that came all the way from southern China, the place that is currently facing the crisis of the coronavirus. So it took the courage of the staff who filmed that plane and shared it online. You remember the staff was actually suspended after some time. So if that brings out one incident at such a time of big tragedy that is facing China, which can also face this country, what does it depict other entries that have been in the country before?
You know, that act of Mr. Ali Gere, it was from, I think he's very patriotic, because he saw that instead of so many Kenyans dying, and for sure we are not prepared in fighting coronavirus. So he took an initiative of taking the video and sharing out online so that Kenyans can take measures. He's just one person who is standing with the truth, because even the government, the government itself, it was not talking about the issue. And we have seen so many government banning airplanes from China, closing their borders from China. Therefore, I think our government was playing cards with us as Kenyans. And that's why it took courage from that guy who decided that he must protect Kenyans because he's a patriotic Kenyan. Because coronavirus is a very deadly disease. Because even if you say our government is ready, it's not ready because we have those students who are in Wuhan and they are not able even to come back home because the government does not have any measure to take them out of Wuhan because they fear also. Even we saw Sarah Sarem, our ambassador to China, she said that the only thing nowadays that she always does is pray for those kids, for those students who are in Wuhan because they are suffering. Yeah.
Do you think there is anything that can be done over those students? Because these are crisis that has scared even the Scandinavian countries. What of Kenya?
I think there is nothing because Wuhan now is a no-go zone. Because it was the other day I was talking with a friend of mine, Ogilo. He's studying there. But he said he was lucky because he left earlier to Guangzhou airport because people are not allowed to leave. It was on 23rd December.
He had the tip of what was yet to happen, or just
coming home for festive season. So he was lucky. So those who are there in Wuhan, they are not even allowed to get out of their houses. Yeah.
Still on this matter of the border, you remember at some point Kenya had begun an initiative of building 700 kilometers of the wall, the fence between her borders and that of Somalia. How far did that project go?
I think building such big thing between our border of Somalia and Kenya is just wasting of resources because even now the Al-Shabaab are attacking us. For example, the incident of yesterday between the Jubaland forces and that of Somali forces, they came up to Mandera. So that tells us more about our government, what our government is doing, because the boundary between us and Kenyans, our KDF troops are supposed to protect our boundary. But yesterday we saw that fight. It came back to Mandera. Why? Because even if the block that we're talking about that they are being built by our government is not helping at all, because the Al-Shabaab are sneaking to our country. They are attacking our teachers in Garissa, in Mandera, and they are killing them. Why? Because even the resources that the government is spending in building that block is not helping at all. The only thing that our government could do is that protect our border, the same way the Ethiopian they are doing. You know, Ethiopian, they have their troops in AMISOM in Somalia, but they are not being targeted a lot by the Al-Shabaab. Why? Because they concentrated in protecting their boundaries more than investing their energy in Somalia. And that's the wrong way that our government is doing.
Now, as a historian and a security analyst, Mr. Kariuki, you remember that time during the Grand Coalition government when they decided that enough is enough, let us go to their base, that is in Somalia. But after some time, they realized that thing was costly, and at the same time, it was like the country was shooting itself on the feet, because as they are there, the Al-Shabaab is making its inroads here and even recruiting locals to fight on their behalf. So, constructing the wall, don't you think it could offer a solution? Because now there are calls from Wetangula and other people who served in the foreign affairs during that time. They say that it's time the Kenyan Defense Forces come back home. Don't you think the wall can assist in a way? Unafunga mlango na unasema hapa mtu apiti.
No, the wall cannot assist. You know, let us be sincere. If our government were to solve this issue of terrorism, especially in our country, because even those people who are members of Al-Shabaab nowadays, they are not Muslims at all. They are those students or those young men who are unemployed. They don't have anything to do. You know, for me, from experience and how I have interacted with Muslims, a Muslim who was born as a Muslim cannot do that. Those people who are doing that, they became Muslim when they are older. Therefore, misunderstand the Muslim religion. That's why they are doing so. So our government, what is supposed to do is just to make sure our youth are busy. And this one will come when they provide more solutions for employment. Because, for example, you cannot tell me I've graduated from a certain university and I come out, become unemployed. I will just become disappointed. You know, I will be depressed. Therefore, I must look for something to do. And if you see so many of these young men from Majengo slums, Kayole, they'll be recruited. Why? Because they have nothing to do. Some will tell you, we have a very good job in Somalia, let us go. They'll pay you 50,000 shillings instead of staying here in slum. Therefore, the problem is our government.
Thank you, Mr. Kariuki. We go for a short break. As we come back, we will be looking into this matter into deep details, because what is coming from the security and policy analyst is that it's not only the borders outside there, but even the borders within, because these problems are interdependent. You can engage us also on our social media platforms. Our Facebook handle, that is KAKTV Kenya. Our Twitter handle is KAKTV_Kenya. You can also stream live on our YouTube channel. Keep it on KAKTV.
Are you looking for a reputable school to guide you in pursuing your dreams in nursing? Look no further. Kikuyu Hospital School of Nursing is accredited by the Nursing Council of Kenya to offer Diploma in Community Health Nursing. With a mean grade of C plane and above, we will walk with you through your journey to pursue your dreams. We are located in a serene environment conducive for learning. At the heart of Kikuyu Sub-County neighboring Alliance Boys and Girls School, we also pride ourselves for having a fully equipped modern library with e-learning facilities, qualified and committed lecturers, comfortable and learning-friendly lecture rooms. At the state-of-the-art Skills Lab, spacious student hostel with excellent accommodation facilities, and chaplaincy staff at the hand for spiritual and pastoral care. April 2020 intake is currently ongoing. To register, apply to the principal, PCA Kikuyu Hospital School of Nursing, through email nursing@pcakikuyuhospital.org. For more information, call the number on your screen.
Have you ever dreamed or imagined of owning a prime property in the fastest growing areas in Kenya today? The PCEA Cooperative Society Limited is making your dreams come true. We have plots along Kangunda Road at Kantafu, Juja Farm and Thika Municipality. All the plots have ready title deeds and are ready for development. For booking and reservation, call us on 0708-145-222 or shoot us an email at pceahousingltd@gmail.com. PCEA Housing Cooperative Society Limited is turning your dreams into a reality.
Welcome back. We appreciate your overwhelming responses and your engagements on our social media platforms. Tonight we are discussing the safety and security measures at our entry points and also at our exit points as a country. We are with Mr. Peter Kariuki, who is a security and a policy analyst on the show. And we are looking at some of the loopholes that are facing our country when it comes to matters security and how our borders are being manned. Mr. Kariuki, before we went for a break, we were looking at some of the things, the activities that have been happening, especially at the NEP, the northern part of Kenya. Over the weekend, we had this case of the 8 members of parliament who are being grilled after having made a suspicious visit to Somalia. There are those who've come up to defend their journey. Look at the case of the former Mandera senator, that is Bill Okero, who said that for them to move to Somalia, it was justified. And they went further by saying that what we're experiencing as a country is as a result of the scramble and partition of Africa. So you found out that there are Maasais in Kenya, Maasais in Tanzania, Tesos in Kenya, Tesos in Uganda. Somalis, a good chunk of them in Kenya, a good chunk outside there. How can this matter be addressed of the citizens being found in two different countries?
I think that one, it doesn't have any problem with how our country is going on, because, you know, like when you talk about the Somalis in Kenya and Somalis in Somalia, the only difference there is, the only difference between them is about clan. Because, for example, when you talk about Northeastern, they only deal with clans. Because in Somalia, maybe they have 4 clans, and that's how they work. Because even leadership in Somalia, they can decide this year, a leader come from this clan. It's not correct for Bill Okero to come out and say such a thing, because the only thing that he can say is just they want to bring unity in those in that tribe. For example, unity between clans. You cannot tell me when they went to Somali, they met the Somali people from the other side, because that's the work of Wazee around that place. But these 11 MPs, they went to Mogadishu and they met the president alone. Because even when they were coming in the airport, they said, we met only the president apart from anybody. For example, they defended their visit to Somalia because it is true President had called them and he said that he wanted a solution in Northeastern.
Don't you think if the president of Somalia called them, this was some sort of a diplomatic protocol breach? Because a head of state has to pass through another head of state, and probably the president of Kenya was supposed to set up a task force, which, if it could include MPs, well and good. Don't you think there was something which was brewed there?
I'm not saying the president of Somalia called them. The president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, had called them and talked to them in State House about the security issues in Northeastern. But from there, they went and sat down as members of parliament from those 3 counties. And that's why they decided to go to Somalia. Because when they were back, there was this person from Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He said they broke the protocol of going to Somalia without even the knowledge of the government, because that one will break the diplomacy between Kenya and Somalia. Yeah.
Because what came out here, if they met the intelligence of the higher senior authorities from Somalia, and you saw today in the dailies the information that came from Kenya, they were actually blaming the Somaliland government that in one or another they are trying to be ungrateful for the efforts that Kenya has been to them and how they have been assisting them.
But you know, in Somalia we have 2 forces. And that one we must understand, because we have the Jubaland Force and the Somali National Army. Therefore, our government of Kenya is in cooperation with the Jubaland. Because even you see this minister, the former Minister of Security, Mr. Kenan, who is being said that he has been hosted in Mandera, our government is not taking any initiative to bring that guy out of Mandera, because it is being said that he ran away from jail in Mogadishu, and that's why he was being held. But because our government have all the information, because one resident of Mandera was saying they knew about that incident of yesterday in Bulahawa, but the government was ignoring. Therefore, our own government is creating trouble for those Kenyans who are in Mandera. Yeah.
Now, it takes us back to this matter, and you have to come clear. You mentioned Ethiopia, how they've been able to guard their border. There are those who argues that why Kenya has had a rough time to guard some of these borders is because they have people from this side and people from the other side with very close ties. Is it justified?
No, it's not justified, because you cannot tell me that there are only Somali in Kenya and Somalis in Somalia. We have other communities like Oromo in Ethiopia and Oromo in Kenya. You know, like in our border there in Moyale, we share our boundaries with the Ethiopians. But the only thing the Ethiopians did, they went and protected their boundaries well. But our only problem as Kenyans is corruption, because so many people who are big in the government. They are doing business in Somalia. They are doing illegal business of charcoal, sugar, importing these vehicles from Somalia without paying taxes. Even those forces who are there in Somalia, some of them, they are in depression. Just because they are under command, they cannot talk. But what is going on in Somalia is just for the benefit of these big people in the government. And that's why we are facing all this trouble. Our government is able to control everything in our borders in northern Eastern.
Now, the recent developments in the northern eastern part, when you look at the history, that place has been a no-go zone. You remember the Wagala massacre, those shifter bandits, and everything that has been happening on that part of the northeastern part. You've mentioned about clanism, which actually has been a topic even today, yesterday, and after these developments have been happening there. Is there any other issue, apart from clanism, that underlying matters that these people from the NEP feels the state is not addressing?
Yeah, it's there because, the big problem with our country, Kenya, is land issue. I think even there is that problem of land. And that's why we always see these people coming up. For example, the other time in Marsabit, we were just seeing people saying that this clan must move from our land and this one must move from our land. Because when they are grazing, to some extent, when there is drought, they just move from one place to another because they are pastoralists. But when they graze in this place of land, a certain clan, they will claim that this is our land. And that's how you see some clashes between those clans in our northern eastern province. Yeah.
Now, generally, as to how Kenyans have been able to conduct themselves, especially during this corona scare, you see, imekuwa ni kitu ambacho wameona ya kwamba hii inakushika, wewe na njia, you've gone. And they've been very vigilant, they've been very united as never before. As a security personnel, as a security analyst, has this thing been happening when we have terror alerts?
No, because Corona it is not all about intelligence, it's a disease. And we Kenyans, when something which is very strong that we can see, that we can just see it as if it's very strange, that can just destroy all of us without favoring who is who, we'll just be united. But when we talk about terrorism, you'll see those people who are Muslim, they'll say that they are being targeted.
Now, having looked into this matter of our borders, the loopholes, and what can be done to ensure that our borders are secured, we have another matter at hand, and this seems to be internal. Whether those that usually do it, whether they are from inside or outside, it's a matter of another day. What do you tell Kenyans as far as this terror alert that the United States have given them is concerned? How do they handle themselves on the streets, in public transport system, and what have you? Because very crucial at this time and even in the future.
Yeah, Kenyans, we should be very careful, and we must know that security starts with you as an individual. Therefore, when you see something that you suspect, make sure you just report to the police officers or the nearest police station so that we can take measures in taking care of this great nation. And I think it's our responsibility as citizens of Kenya to safeguard this country and to be patriotic and to love it. Because when you see such an incident, don't fear to report, because they will not harm you. Because those people who are strangers in our villages, in our towns, in our cities, even in our matatus, we must report them, because we need to stay in peace. We need one another. We need to boost the economy of this nation. And we need to see our government promoting peace in its own country.
At some point when we had a lot of terror attacks in Kenya, there are those strict measures that were put, especially in hotels. You're told before you admit anyone into those guest rooms, they have to provide their details, if they're even from internal or even outside. Are those guidelines still being adhered by the caterers and accommodation providers?
I think not 100%, but it depends with the location. or the locality of the place where you are going. Let's say, for example, a hotel, because you cannot tell me you'll go to Intercontinental without such a very good checkup there, thorough checkup, without even your national IDs. But you know, we have some hotels whereby the workers, they are very ignorant, and because they don't want to follow the right procedure due to their own personal issues. Because you know, somebody, when you are given something, let's say somebody will just appreciate you. I have something, this and this, I've just left my documents, just allow me to go in. And that's why you see corruption in Kenya is the big animal that it is eating us in all sectors. Yeah.
On public transport, still on matters safety. And it's been some headache to some of the people, and sometimes when you even meet some of the people who want to board these matatus, they're very scared. You know, someone is asking themselves, we are just going in, we are just boarding. No any security checkups have been done, no anything, nothing at all. Are there any plans to ensure that even those ones that are using these modes of transport are safe? Because sometimes the terrorists might talk of coming to a hotel, then you focus there, you know, like a game of football. Striker anaonyesha goalkeeper anataka kwenda nje, then anasukuma huko kando, then they score.
I think the government has tried to some extent last time, because, for example, when you go to GPO there, you'll just see the screening of those people who are going inside. But all this, I'll just say that it is our responsibility as citizens. Because you cannot tell me when you are coming from Nyayo Stadium and to this place, you must be screened, because it depends, again, with the population of that area. Yeah.
Lastly, what can really guarantee us safety as a country within and without?
The measures that our government has just put in place can guarantee us, because we can just, nowadays our intelligence is very high, because the level of intelligence currently in our country is very high, and even we have resources nowadays. We are able to control to secure our country, because the incident of Dusit attack, the response from our government, it was very good, it was very swift, and that's why we were able to control that terror attack in Dusit. I think our government has done well in terms of providing security resources to the security personnel and even the training. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Peter Kariuki, for your wonderful insight and the analysis on this wonderful topic of the safety and security of Kenyan citizens, both in the entry and at the exit. We appreciate for your audience, your participation, your comments and feedback that you've given us on our social media platforms. Remember, your security begins with you, but that is an open statement. That's why we had to bring a policy and a security analyst to highlight some of the loopholes, some of the things, some of the measures that have to be taken in order to ensure that you're secure in your house, on the road, on entertainment joints, and also in your places of work. Till next time, for me, Cornelius Omuse, I wish you a good night.
Thank you very much for the way you have always accepted me to be with you. I've been here, I've been in Mombasa several times together with men, and Many times I ask, is there anything that's going to get discussed that I don't need to be there? And many times I'm also told there's nothing really unique for men. And so I join in sessions. But where I shouldn't join, I think it's also a joy for me to be away. So thank you, men. Thank you, men, for accommodating me just as I am. I also want to say thank you to Reverend Kaira for giving me opportunities to share. Last time we shared about family, and this time we are sharing about our point of view as women, as we look at our men as our husbands and our fathers of our children, and our expectations. Most of the things have been said by Dr. Karemi. In fact, if all that was practiced that he mentioned, I think we can make really wonderful families. And women, to a large extent, would be very, very content with what men would do in contribution to the welfare of their families. Because it doesn't take magic and doesn't take a miracle for us to do that which we are needed to do, for us to make good families, for us to make our children who they should be, and also to give the protection we need to give to our wives and the family at large. Now, since I'm a Christian woman, I may not be able to stand in here for every woman because I don't know what the world will expect of a husband, but I can give a few points on a Christian family, on a Christian husband and a Christian wife, because ours is really based on Christianity. Our marriages are based on our faith. So I don't know what the world will expect, but for us, we have very few fundamental points and issues that we cannot just ignore as Christian families. And based on also on your theme and words that were spoken by Joshua, that as for me and my house, I will serve the Lord. And it has been said to be a conscious choice that he made. I would also follow up on that and say that many things that we do in this life are a lot of choices. We choose to be who we are. For example, we chose to be Christians. No one forced you to become a Christian, to believe in Jesus Christ. No one forced you to become a member of Pcmf. It's a choice we make. And in the same manner, when we are getting married, I think it is the most sensitive choice that we make in this life, because it will mean your life or your end. And therefore, the woman that you have chosen to be your partner, to be your life mate, it is your choice that you made. And you know, you had a whole range of women in the entire world, not even talking about Kenya. Talk about East Africa and the whole of Africa and diaspora, where Reverend Kifadhi and Reverend Karemi are ministering. You had that wide choice to make from all those ladies. But you made one choice. And that choice, therefore, must be well protected by you because you chose them. And whatever the weaknesses, whatever the strengths, that is your choice. And therefore you must live with her as it is commanded by the word of God and by the Bible. The scripture has said that marriage is an eternal union. It is an eternal union where we don't think we are in this marriage today and we are out of it tomorrow. It is a lifetime companionship. We shall walk together until death will do us part. And even when we are separated by death, we shall remember that we had a partner. And hence it becomes eternal. It is an enduring relationship because it has a lot of issues. But it is also our choice, you and your wife, to make it last, to make it durable, to make it continuous, to make it eternal, to make it timeless, to make it everlasting. Your choice. Because you don't have an alternative as long as you have picked a woman to live with. And may I say on that point that for us women, because you have chosen us and you have chosen me, not the other, therefore we like the affirmation of our relationship every time. We want to know whether I am still the only one. That is one of the most important things that I think really matters in us women. Am I still your choice? Affirm and reaffirm by word, by action. Many times men will affirm, are you still lasting after other women? It is our concern. And it is a concern that every woman will have in marriage. We'd want you to say, like Job, that you make a covenant with your eyes, that you not last after any other woman. Is that bad? Is that too much for you? It is not. Somebody saying yes. It is not too much because you made a choice of me, and therefore, no, your eye must not see any other woman. And even if you see, you must not lust after them. That is a fundamental area for every woman, Christian or not. I think that matters for all of us. So keep affirming that I am your only choice. It is not good for a man to be alone. I will make him a helper. That is the word of God from Genesis 2:18. And this helper, before you chose them, if you are a Christian, you will also look at whether they will be real helpers. Are they going to help you spiritually for you to grow, to go to heaven? Are they going to help you economically to get wealth and to care for what you have labored? Are they going to help you
Baba tunasogea chini ya miguu yako, Baba tunasogea.
Shape us from God and taking it well. You'll find these things flow from us women. They flow as long as the man is taking the right direction. The spiritual help you'll get, the economic help, the physical, the emotional, all of them come because of what you yourself are doing and what you are offering to me as your only choice. These other things don't really matter. They come flowing. In the image of God, we were created. And male and female, he created us. Take your wife to be created in God's image, and therefore we love to be regarded as people who belong to God and are not an accident. We are created in God's image and therefore must be valued and must be taken care of as should. And in Genesis 2:14, it says, therefore shall a man leave his father and mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. That one is another very, very important point for us women, because we find that some men will get married. You have married to a wife of your choice, but you still stuck to your mother or father. Usually men is their mothers. They get stuck to their mothers and they refuse to move, to cleave to their wives, and you find that they're still going back to consult with their mothers as to what the family should do. And yet you have taken a wife of your choice so that she can help you spiritually, economically, physically, and emotionally. We want to be taken as people that can be consulted and that can offer every given help that our husbands require. Whatever you need, don't go anymore to your mother. Come to me as your wife and consult, and let us build our home together. And on the same note, protect your wife. Protect her from your relatives. Protect her from your very parents. Protect her from your sisters and brothers. Protect her from the attacks from the community. Protect her even as far as your property is concerned, so that people don't just assume and come and take property from her. How many of us, if we tell you, as if we had women widows here, how many of us, when we lose our husbands, that your property that you owned yourself and we thought it belonged to us as a family has been taken by your relatives? And so many widows today are crying because property has been taken that belonged to their husbands by the husband's relatives, because you did not give them proper protection. We need to be protected. And we love that kind of protection. We need to feel secure that whether you are living or dead, I can still live with what God had given to us. So please, don't let your wife just lose and think because you have a shaba that it always belongs to her. If you don't give her protection now when you are living, it will go. And it will not go with the neighbors. Neighbors can also take, by the way, because she's left helpless and unprotected. But it's usually taken by your brothers, by your sisters, by your parents. And she's left with your very children that you bore with her to suffer and to go to the streets. So protect her. We love that kind of protection. Write property under your both names so that it will not go from her. Or write a will. I have a young friend who lost her husband after 2 years of marriage. But in those 2 years, that man, I think he was a very wise young man. He had already written a will as to how his property would go. And fortunately, he had written everything under his wife. And when he died, they didn't even have children when he died. But this wife was well protected. She lost nothing out of what they had together in those few years and in what he had before he married her. So please, men, there's nothing wrong in protecting your wife even after your death, so that she will not suffer with your children. If many men came back to life today, they would be so shocked to not even find their wives where they left them, because they were either chased away, they were denied all that they had. So protect us. Protect us. It is your responsibility. It's a God-given responsibility, and we cannot argue about it. We love to see a marriage as women who are Christian women. We love to see a marriage that is taking the shape of a heavenly planned marriage, because marriage is heaven planned for the creation of mortal bodies. It's God who created, who started a family, and he's very, very concerned about every single family that begins. Family is the great plan of life as conceived and organized by our Father in heaven. And we love to see our families like that as women. The earliest recorded commandment that was given to Adam and Eve was to be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And that one, we love to see that the roles that are given in our families by God himself are adhered to. God organized the whole program in the beginning of a family. And a father and a husband is given his roles. One of the roles a father has been given is to procreate. He's the one who produces children. He is the one who produces the seed that makes children. And that is his role. And he also is given the role to provide. and Dr. Karemi had mentioned, is provision in every area, spiritual provision, physical provision, anything, material, whatever that family requires. It is within your responsibility. And even if your wife will help you, because she's a helper, the sole responsibility of provision belongs to you. So that even when I do it, I know either it has been delegated to me to do, or because I'm helping my very husband, because I'm also supposed to help them. But to procreate is your responsibility. To provide is your responsibility. To love is your responsibility. You see, we are not even told to love you, but we know we should. We are supposed to love. But the love that really makes the rest of the family love each other, that goes like fire in the family, that permeates to the family, comes from the man. Once the man, and that was mentioned and emphasized, loves his family, you find the family is at peace, and it also loves, they love each other. The woman will love you back, and you together will love your children. The man has been given the responsibility of directing, and in the moment you don't direct, then the family is in chaos because they don't know what direction to take. And many times, so that your family may not get lost and may not get derailed, women take charge. When they see the man is not doing his duty, they take charge and they start directing families. And what Dr. Karim was calling reactionary is because we let go and then we are following, we are trying to get. Instead of us coming first to do our responsibility, and then the family will fall in place. Because that is what we expect as women for men to do. Give us direction. Give us that vision. What vision do you have for us? What direction are you taking us? What are we going to be tomorrow? What are we going to be in the 5 years to come as a family? I want to hear as a wife where you are leading us. Because if you fail to do that, that family will have the control of your wife. A mother has been given the role of conceiving and bearing children. That is our responsibility. Nurturing that family, it is the woman's responsibility. They care, they attend, they feed, they train. Women are supposed to do that. They are care providers. They care for you, they care for the children, they'll care for your visitors, they'll care for your friends, they are care providers wherever they are. And even in church, wherever, in the community, they provide care. And they also feed the family. They take care of what the family is fed on. They will make sure the food is good, is balanced, and so on. Those are their roles. That is the role of a woman. So when you take your right direction, then the others just fall in place. Children that we were given the responsibility to bear and to bring to fill the earth, to replenish the earth, is that we regard our children. We would like to see women that these are our children. They are not just my children. They belong to both of us. And therefore, the work of loving them, nurturing them, training them, directing them belongs to both of us. But what has happened in most families today is that children have been left to their mothers to take care of them. And to say the truth, us as women, we shall never let our families to fall and fail. We shall take the lead if men fail. But if a man takes the lead, there's no business in me coming to interfere with what he's doing if he's doing it right. So we like to say that the children belong to both of us, and both of us are participating. Not me nurturing them and feeding them and checking on their homework and taking them to school and going to visit them in schools and picking them when schools close and taking them back when schools are open. Hey, even you men, where are you? Yani, why should I do all that? And you are there. Your presence is there. That is our responsibility. And we can do it together. Take care of the homework, and I do the cooking. You know, take care of Bible stories, and I do the beds for the children. That kind of consideration, sharing responsibility, sharing our roles well, so that the women will feel comfortable. What happens is that we get angry because things are not happening the way we want. And therefore, when we get angry, then the family is in chaos, because women will not hide their anger. They will react and they will show it. And they will either tell you or not tell you, but they will show it somehow. But if work was done properly and roles were shared properly, you will enjoy your family. You will enjoy it. And they shall also, the two, they shall also teach their children to pray and to walk uprightly before the Lord. And that is given in Deuteronomy 6, verse 1 to 25, which was written that in verse 6 it says, "These commandments that I give to you today are to be upon your hearts." The two people must put these commandments from God in their hearts. Put them in your hearts. What for? What are they for? For you, as far as your children are concerned, they are in your hearts to impress them on your children. If you have nothing, you see, you can't give your children nothing. You will just give them that nothing that you have. But if you have written God's commands and you have taken Christian faith to be your base, then you comfortably share it with your family. You share it with your children. Impress them on your children. Talk, and this will be by word and deed. You will talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the roads, when you lie down and when you wake up. That is your song. This is my story. This is my song about Jesus all the time. To my children, the right living, the correct living is walking with God. Walking uprightly is walking with God. Is having Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior of your life. This is a responsibility we cannot just assume and live alone. So this is something that we are happy about as women when we find that both of us are doing it. Now once the commands are written in our hearts and we are talking about them, we are also practicing them. It means also that when you talk, that your children can see a lot of Jesus in your talks, a lot of godliness in what you say. And when you sit, they can also see, because you sit like a Christian. You're sitting in the house to talk about God, not about nothing and things that are happening that you'll never have let. It's things that both will care and ground your children in faith. And even when you are walking with your children, they can see a man of God. Sometimes we let ourselves and let God down when we even drive on streets and highways with our children, and the words we throw from our mouths, especially here in Kenya when we drive, and so many other drivers are inconveniencing us and they are blocking our ways and they are hindering us from going where we are. And the kinds of words we throw, and sometimes we are with our children. We are supposed, even when we walk or drive on the roads, to bear the mark of Jesus Christ, so that the family can keep learning about God and can keep seeing that our father and mother, they belong to God. Whatever comes out of them is godly. It is not nasty. It does not offend us or other people. Tie them on your hands so that even your hands will not touch on anything that is ungodly. We sometimes feel when we let our children see that we can, for example, give a bribe for them and loving each other, then we shall be having a good home. I think, even if I did say all the points about women, I just have mentioned the key ones. And God bless you very much. Amen.
Kwenye kazi na mali, tunakuangazia, tunakuhamasisha, kukuhimiza na kukuelimisha kuhusu kazi, shughuli na mbinu za wachapakazi mbalimbali kuchuma riziki.
Karibu sana katika kipindi chetu siku ya Jumamosi leo.
Wengine walikuwa na mwanzo mgumu.
Nilipata loan kutoka kwa nyanya yangu.
Wengine wana uwezo maalum na wanafanya mambo maalum.
Nilizaliwa hivi.
La mno, wote ni wachapakazi halali wanaojenga uchumi wa taifa. Ungana naye
Mpishi mpakuzi kutoka kwangu mpishi mpakuzi
Vincent Kirusi kila Jumanne saa 1:30 jioni anapoweka bayana kuwa mtafutaji hachoki, akichoka kesha pata. Ni hapa KAK TV.
Milele Beach Hotel Mombasa is located in the Northern Coastal region, is the only non-smoking, non-alcoholic hotel along the coastal beach line of the Indian Ocean, with spacious and comfortable rooms for individuals and groups, as well as a friendly and welcoming ambience. We offer conference services to small and large groups at highly competitive rates. Easy access from Mombasa town, the Moi International Airport and the Mombasa SGR terminus. For reservations, call us on 0729 403 649 or email reservations@milelehotels.com.